IVM.
So it's been another great week at IVM Podcast, and if you aren't following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the major social media networks. This week on the Pragati Podcast, Pawan and Hamsini talk to economist Anupam Manur about how India is tackling creating new jobs. On the Pulyabazi show, tune into part 2 of Pranay's interview with China expert Manoj Keval-Ramani. On Simplified in a Shorty, Shrikesh, Chuck and Naren give interesting tidbits about the qualifying round of the 2018 World Cup. On Cyrus Says this week, Cyrus has a conversation with friend of the network Vivek Kaul about the economy. On Who's Your Mommy, Veda and her friends discuss the strange and disturbing questions they've been asked by their kids. On Keeping It Queer, Naveen talks to non-binary Instagram sensation Diane Rebello. On Varta Lab last week, Akash and Naveen exchanged some hilarious stories with Balraj Ghai, owner of the Hotel Intercontinental and The Habitat. And with that, let me get you onto your shows.
Hi.
You're
Listening to IVM
Daily.
Hi guys, welcome to IVM Daily, your daily source of banter from the IVM staff. I'm Naveen Narona, and joining me today are Abbas and Kavita.
Hello.
Hi guys, what's up? And the topic of discussion today is something that we've been sitting upon for a while now because we wanted the world to catch up with it, and apparently the world has. It's this comedy special called Nanette that came out on Netflix and has created quite a stir overall around the world. All the comics have definitely checked it out, and people have been tweeting to us on Twitter asking us to check it out, and we did check it out. I watched it like thrice already.
Yeah.
And it's left quite a mark on all three of us. So, Abbas, why don't we start with you, your impression of the whole thing?
Yeah, I loved the special. I think it was, it started off pretty lightly, but then it builds upon as it goes on. And I think by the end of it, I just felt like it transcends what a comedy special is supposed to do. It's not just jokes or laughter. It's like you actually take something away from it and gives you something to ponder over.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen any of Hannah Gadsby's comedy before, so it was also an introduction to her. And I think this is like she was at the zen. It's an artist at their zenith.
Yeah.
They're commanding the audience. They're making statements. They're saying what they want to, and you can see it in from everything from what she says to her body language that she means business, and she wants to say a lot of things, and she says it without any hesitation. So yeah, it's one of those where you just take like 5 minutes after the special is over to just take it in and be like, okay, that was something.
Did you watch it alone or like with somebody else?
I watched it alone. Yeah.
Correct. How about you, Kavita?
I watched it 7 times. The fact that, that it was on my list.
One for every color of the rainbow.
I really did,
Which she
and
hates.
every time I watched it, I found new things that I was focusing on. And yeah, just like Abba said, right? Wow. I couldn't believe that in under 60 minutes, she managed to cover so many points that not that I identify myself as LGBTQI. I'm not from the comedy space. There's so many things, but I just thought that, she put out some stuff that I think has been waiting to be discussed.
Yeah.
And she just said it the way it's supposed to be said, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that's what I thought was one of the most impactful things that came away from that special. Extremely impactful stuff. I thought it was just beautifully done.
Yeah. Very sound design and everything pretty solid, because in the Sydney Opera House of all places.
What a gorgeous venue.
Exactly, and that's why for her to command that entire venue, that takes something. That takes a lot of practice, because being from the art form, Abbas and I would know that one joke takes a good 2-3 years to become a good joke or a good set, eventually. Some people do it faster, but someone like Hannah Gadsby, which is again because she's a LGBT person, and she spoke about that in length about in the first half of the show, is like, I thrived on self-deprecation to nudge my way inside the scene, and I feel that happening with me as well right now, because the first 2 years of my comedy career, I was just like, how about I make fun of homophobia and try to play the gay card, but then as I progressed into comedy, I figured out that's not what people want. They want to hear an honest gay person story, and that's what she gives us. I after the episode was done, the whole show was done, I was watching it with my manager and Karnish Talwar, and we just sat there for 10 minutes. We didn't say a single
silence.
word. Just silence, and I'm like, okay, I have to leave for home, but I feel like retiring all my
exactly.
I just thought after the entire show, right, I just thought to myself, wow, like most men watching this would just probably be like, okay, let me just go kill myself right away. because no, that's what I thought. Just every aspect of again, the fact that she, again from the comedy space. I haven't watched any of her other stuff at all. This is the first time I watched her. I also believe that as a Netflix special, it is what we watched was a slightly toned down version of her actual set, and amazing, right? Like everything that she spoke about. I have a lot of LGBTQI friends, and some of the things that she said about the fact that I predominantly now identify myself as tired and not really a part of this big circus. And she said it just that way, right? Pride, the parade,
the rainbow.
So many things, the rainbow. And I know a lot of my friends who are part of this community and pretty much are like that. They're like, going to the parade is really not something that I want or need to do to put myself out there.
It's true.
And very powerful words because, in these times today, it's so everyone wants to fit in. Everyone wants to do what everybody around is doing. And to then stand out to say that, this is something that I just don't want to do or don't identify with is a big statement. And she says that, right? Like,
it's
everybody's
controversial.
stunned.
Exactly.
It's controversial.
But it's true in the sense that if you look at the Indian gay community right now, and it's taken past 10 years for the community to come together and like various
ways. Sure.
So they've taken the time to take in their whole thing, but there's also like seeping in of queer politics now, which can be like also predominantly sexist in its own way, because gay men will take over what the lesbian women are doing, and they're like, you're a woman still, like that kind of misogyny is still thriving within the community. There's like
there's that bit where she said that whatever gay objections are, it's for the gay men, because they just think women are cuddling together. There's nothing wrong with that. So but
such
then
a layered joke that
exactly
multiple layers in that joke. So I agree with a lot of what she said, because it's like it's time to understand that while we come with the cause, we also come with our own personalities, and
Absolutely.
it's okay to not put that personality on someone else, not to force someone to come out or to talk about them in such a way that
Also do it your way, no?
Not standing up to the expectations of what the community is supposed to do. I'm like
about that whole thing about not having enough lesbian content. And she's like, I was on stage for such a long time. How much more lesbian content do you want from me?
But such a funny thing this is, because see, our own peers sometimes in the community can be the weirdest people to come and say the weirdest things to us. For example, I was in Pune and I was doing a show there. I was doing 30 minutes, and there was one. So my friend had like two gay friends watching the show. Okay, Andy and one more guy. And Andy was a sweetheart. He didn't say anything. The other guy, however, comes up to me and says, you could have done like 50% less gay content. I'm like, you could
means.
be 70% less gay right now, because he was swaying and saying that. I mean, like, just let me do my thing, right? Like, I don't want to, be subject to your notions.
This was her big statement about opinions.
Exactly. Lesbians have
everybody
opinions.
has a two-penny opinion about everything.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like, there's a way of understanding comedy, and she's understood it. Like, there's years and years of things.
I thought if this was like what, a 70-minute special out of which maybe there was zero laughter for I think more than 35 or 40 minutes.
Right, exactly.
I mean, she got her laughs in like the first 20, because after that she was just like, okay, now that I've like driven this sword into you, now let me just keep turning it. And that's all she did.
And I really liked that, because I think many times when comedians talk about issues, it's sometimes get buried under layers of jokes, because we as comics, we think that's our job. Is that we can talk about issues, but then we have to make them laugh. She didn't give a damn. She's like, this is what I have to say, I'll say it. And like you mentioned, she says that line that now this tension is yours. I don't think it's my duty to diffuse it just because I'm a comic.
She just basically came and dropped off this gigantic load on her back and said, you know what, I'm done with this. And
because she's not trying to give a solution to us. She's like, I've dealt with this. Maybe a lot of women
in her own way.
Yeah, a lot of women in this room have dealt with it. Now you guys, men, it's your responsibility to deal with this tension, because we're giving it to you, and I'm walking away from here. And that was like baller in its own way. The point arrives now that a lot of my friends who are comics and otherwise have said it's not a comedy special, because they expect like 60 minutes of laughter back to back. And I agree that there's different kinds of comics, but what do you think about this?
So this was a stand-up special, may not have been a stand-up comedy special. Yes, I agree. Though, again, this is something maybe Abbas can help us because, I don't know, a lot of my friends, and again, this I'm speaking about like comedians here in this country, predominantly in Bombay, have been doing this for a really, really long time. My very dear friend Ashish Shakya has now pretty much, I went and watched a show maybe 4 or 5 months ago where a show called Headliners. And, he closed that show and, again, big other guys, Rohan Joshi, I think there was Varun Thakur, there was also Biswa. And Shakya came to close that. And really, through his entire half-hour set, there may have been laughs for a collective of maybe 7 or 10 minutes. The rest of it was just like, this is reality and take it like the way it is. There was pin drop silence in the auditorium, and Shanmukhananda is a big place to get people to keep quiet over there is tough. And yes, and my God, it was just like goose fleshy enough to be like, oh my God, I have a lot of things to think about when I go back home.
That's what. So like comedy depends on marketability because when you send a 5-minute video anywhere, they want to see 5 minutes
number
of
laughs in that video.
Oh, is that how it gets? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the number of views or whatever. So, for a lot of comics to internalize their material, it takes an entire hour or something like that, like their own show to do that. And like all props to her for finding that space and finding that niche and talking about it. I'm just saying, for me, it's still a comedy special because for me, comedy has always been about thought-provoking material. Like, if you look at George Carlin or look at Lenny Bruce or look at Bill Hicks or look at Wanda Sykes, they've all been very strong, opinionated comics who have had their own thoughts and everything, but they also found humor in the weirdest of things possible. And she does that. She finds humor in a way that she'll appeal to everybody and then also like drop truth bombs, which is what we require right now.
Which I think is when she progresses into speaking about Van Gogh and art and privilege and artists and I mean really eventually just as popular like for one painting that he made. And and why must we now give him the space that, and of course he was a loony as well, people were avoiding him and all of those kind of things, right? So my earlier statement about how she managed to cover just went from one big truth bomb to another and I'm just like, whoa, there's a lot of it, right? And of course the LGBTQI bit was the most stand out.
Very impassionate overall, very on point, very
in fact, when she talks about growing up in Tasmania, how 70% of the Tasmanians were against homosexuality, which means 70% of the people who brought me up in a way hated me, actually made me think of you. I'm like, you live in a country where homosexuality is still illegal and looked down upon. So that's probably somewhere.
What did you think about that, Naveen?
The thing is, it's going to be a constant struggle, right? Like, Australia struggled for so long and only recently did they get their rights to marry equally. As of now in India, we are progressing much better, right? We have got the right to privacy so we can be gay in our own way. And
but isn't that a very metropolitan thing?
As in, it is, again, if somebody tries to...
We live in Bombay, I see the life you live.
Yeah, but they can't put you in jail for being gay anymore, right?
Sure.
So that's one thing, and I think we're very close to getting 377 abolished, and notions are changing in India overall. That's one thing I've noticed through my comedy, was like, initially I was all about fighting the system and getting people's heads knocked off with all this.
Do you now identify as tired?
Not yet. I haven't reached that kind of peak like Hannah has. So, definitely will take a lot of more years for me to also mature. I think it's a matter of taking everything in your stride and finding comedy in that moment in time and making fun of that reality that you're living. And it can be absurd, it can be funny, it can be anything, but what it means to you is what you tell the people, and if they are on board with that, then it's funny to the world. That's what she has done.
Yeah. What about the other stuff she spoke about, guys? I mean, she's spoken about sexism in general. She spoke about art and privilege and cubism. And what do you guys think about all of that? I completely agree.
Even I do. There's that one line where she said that Picasso had sex with an underage girl. That's all I need to know about him to really
I'm not
judge
interested.
his art. Exactly. And I think, that separating the art from the artist conundrum isn't a conundrum anymore after watching that.
And we've had a discussion, like I've spoken about this on Keeping It Queer with Farhad, and he seemed to be of the different opinions. Like if an artist does something, they come from a tough place, and I agree with that. But like in terms of the
what about the humanity angle? That's what she's saying.
Yeah,
right?
the humanity angle.
Why would I disassociate that?
On IVM Likes, we had like 2 episodes dedicated to this because at 2 points, 2 very famous people were accused, like when Harvey Weinstein happened, and I'm like, just the way the academy changes like overnight, right, or the Hollywood Guild changes overnight, it's pretty amazing to see like that, because it just needs one whistleblower to stand the ground, and then like it's a whole
it'll all keep piling
cascade effect. Then so in that regard, she's taken that point very strongly ahead, saying that we just need to open up now. If we start telling our stories, then you'll have to run away for your life.
Absolutely.
And that's what she brings to the fore, no?
Just again, also about the fact that, where she spoke about how even after so many years of doing whatever she does, still, I mean, and look at her, I mean, she's an important, reputed person. She's still someone who feels uncomfortable in a room full of men, which is, I mean, as a woman, I've been working now for a really, really long time. And finally, someone just came and said it the way it's supposed to, because yes, after so many years, it still is extremely unnerving to kind of like be in a room full of men, because yes, these things are driven predominantly by them. I work in the media, and yes, I have had experiences in the past where you're just like, this was not appropriate really, but what are we supposed to do about this? And I thought again, that she spoke about just so many things in such a short time. My brain was blown. Every day I watched it 7 times only because I'm like, okay, I think I have some more stuff that I've probably not followed. Let me go back and listen to it and watch it again. So
because a lot of comics have come to me, female comics, and said that when they are in a green room with a bunch of male comics, they do feel uncomfortable. They do like tend to walk out for air or
also,
whatever.
just like casual sexism, right? And some things that just get said. Nobody's really thinking twice about what's really, being communicated. Obviously, a lot of inappropriateness, but this green room stuff must be
taken care of.
My God.
But that's what, so now something on this level of fame, like if the special really breaks through and gets to many other people, they'll start indeed pulling their socks up. I believe that will eventually happen. And let's hope for a better tomorrow where comedy acts like it's supposed to and does not get caught up in the trivialities of life. So that's it from us, you guys. We discussed Nanette as we wanted to really sit on this for a while, and we have taken some time to talk about this.
I'm glad the show has put out so many questions for everybody to think about, every single person. Right?
So if you haven't watched Nanette, why were you listening to this anyway? But if you still want to watch it, we'll put the link in the description. Go to Netflix, use my account. I'll DM you my details, and we can watch and be happy together. Until then, this is IVM Daily, and it's us, Naveen, Abbas, and Kavita saying bye-bye.
Alvida.
Goodbye.
As you can see, we have a podcast listener in his natural habitat. Millions of years of evolution have led him to this point. He's on his way to work, and listening to podcasts makes his miserable day better. He will now head to work and use all his knowledge to communicate with other colleagues and possibly future mates. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcasts.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out all the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.